So it says for the equation, solve for x in terms of y and solve for y in terms of x. Okay. So now, when we're solving for x in terms of y, all right, so we see we have an x squared, so we can kind of treat everything else like a number or a constant, okay? If we had 2x squared plus 2x plus a constant equals to 4. Oh, quadratic formula. So this is still quadratic formula. So then again, x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay. So now, when we're solving for x, our a should probably subtract the 4 from both sides. Yeah. So then the a is going to be 2. B is going to be negative 2y, and our c in this case is going to be 5y squared minus 4. Okay, so we set it to 0. So now we take these a, b, and c's, and let me see, use commas, do not factor. Okay, let's keep going. So for 20a, negative b, so that's going to be 2y plus or minus the square root of negative 2y quantity squared minus 4. A is 2 in this case, and c is this 5y squared minus 4. Square root of all of that, all over 2a. So that's 4. Solve for x, use comma to separate, do not factor. Let's see. Okay, let's work on that discriminant. All right. So we keep our 2y plus or minus the square root. That's going to become what? 4y squared. That's an 8, and we got to distribute here and here. So that's 8 times 5 is what? 40. So that's a negative 40. Negative 40y squared, and then that's an 8 times 4 is 32, so plus 32. All over 4. Let's see if we can take it further. 2y plus or minus the square root. That's going to be what? Negative 36. Negative 36y squared plus 32. Over 4. Now we can rewrite this as 32 minus 36. Let's see. 9 and 4. That's what? 16. So let's factor out a 2. Let's move this around a little bit. So we have 2y plus or minus. Now let's factor out a 2 and reverse the order a bit. So we're going to have the square root of 2 times. It's going to be 16 minus 18y squared. We lose our perfect square there. I was hoping it would be a perfect square, but it doesn't look like it's simplifying. So I'm going to actually get rid of this. And I'm actually going to leave this as is. I'm going to stop here for this one. I'll check it in a minute. I won't load it if it's not correct. So I'm going to let that be the first one. You can at least factor out a 4 from everything. Yeah, let's take it further, because we can at least get a perfect square out. So if we factor out a 4 from both of those, then we'll get 2y plus or minus square root. Now we're going to have 4 times, that's what, 8 minus 9y squared. I'm going to say over 4. So now you can take the square root of that 4, you get 2. So then we have 2y plus or minus 2 times the square root of 8 minus 9y squared over 4. So now everything is divided by 2. We get y plus or minus the square root of 8 minus 9y squared over 2. This is where I'm going to stop. Something squared minus something squared. You're still going to have a square root of 2 in there. Yeah, I'll leave it there. Let's solve for y in terms of x. So now we just need to be clear about our a, b, and c. So let's put it in the proper form, right? So let's say 5y squared minus 2xy. If we subtract the 4, we're going to have plus 2x squared minus 4 equals 0. So then from here we see that our a is 5, our b is negative 2x, and our c is 2x squared minus 4. Okay, so then let's plug that into our quadratic. I'll choose like this color. So then we have 20b. So then y is going to be negative b, so it's going to be 2x plus or minus the square root of negative 2x squared minus 4 times a, which is 5, times c, which is this 2x squared minus 4, all over 2a, which is 10. Let's see. 2x plus or minus, that's going to be 4x squared. 20 times 2 is negative 40x squared. 20 times 4 is plus 80, all over 10. It doesn't really look like anything factors. 2x plus or minus is going to be 80 minus 36x squared. 60. Because that's the same as 4 and 20, which is 16 times 5. Yeah. But it's still not a perfect square. Even if it was something squared minus something squared and stuff, that's still not a perfect square. So that's probably about the best we can do there. Other than we got divided by 10. We can factor out what, like a 4. 16. That's 9 and 4. Let's factor out a 4. 2x plus or minus. That's 4. It's 20 minus 9x squared, all over 10. So that's a 2. So everything can be divided by 2. We get x plus or minus square root 20 minus 9x squared over 5. I don't see anything beyond that. Okay. I actually have the results up above, so let's look at it. So I think we checked that one, and that one was fine. This was number 19. So 19, you see 3 plus or minus the square root of 10, and I think we got 20 correct as well. Let me put that side by side. Let's do a side by side comparison. So 20 was the one that was giving us a little bit of a hard time, which is fine. Probably should have just cut it, but yeah, let's just go ahead and cut it. Right here. Okay. So the first one is x equals y plus or minus the square root of 8 minus 9y squared over 2. We got that. And then the second was y equals x plus or minus, we got the square root of 20 minus 9x squared. Yeah, that was, if something like that were to pop up on the test, you just have to do the best you can. Now, I would say on a test, don't waste too much time working on something like that. Go as far as you can, take it as far as you can, and then during the exam is more about speed. Like you want to go through it as quickly as you can. Then when you finish, with whatever time you have remaining, come back, fill in any other details you can, and check your work and do the best you can. But don't like if this is question number 2, don't try to spend so much time on this in the beginning. You want to make sure to answer as many questions as possible, because I do give partial credit and things of this nature. Okay. All right, that was a great question. All right, so with that, we will stop here and enjoy the rest of your day. Happy studying. Study hard so you can play hard. And from one beautiful mind to another, enjoy the rest of your day.